This is Keys to the Shop, episode 319, a conversation with the World Barista Champion, Diego Campos. Well, hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of Keys to the Shop, where we give you insights, inspiration, and the tools you need to grow as a coffee service professional. My name is Chris DeFirio. I'm your host for the show. Always happy to have you along for the ride in these conversations. We cover these topics. We put out a lot of episodes, and I would love to have you stay updated on all of them. The way to do that is to subscribe to Keys to the Shop. All you have to do is hit subscribe wherever you get your podcasts, and you will be signed up to receive notifications when new episodes come out, like this one, or our short format shift break episodes on Thursdays, Founder Fridays, where we explore stories of entrepreneurs in coffee. That's the last Friday of every month. And of course, our main episodes like this one coming out on Tuesdays, where we get to talk with World Barista Champions, managers, owners, and awesome coffee professionals from all over the world. So you don't want to miss any of it. Subscribe to the show. Now, if you're a listener to Keys to the Shop and the show has really benefited you in your career or your business, it would be so awesome if you would share this with your friends. Share it with your circle of peers, your team, and let people know about Keys to the Shop as a podcast, or send them a link to specific episodes that you think would help them. Any kind of sharing of Keys to the Shop is so appreciated. It is the season for sharing and giving, so I really would appreciate that. Thank you so much. Now, on top of doing this podcast, one of the ways that I get to help the coffee community is by offering consulting and coaching through Keys to the Shop Consulting. So that is where I get to work directly with you to help you start your coffee business on the right foot, or take your existing coffee business to the next level. Improve those operations, management and personnel, quality. There's a lot of ways that Keys to the Shop Consulting can come alongside you and help your coffee shop really thrive, either remotely or on site. And I would love to talk with you about what that might look like. So if you're interested in working with me at Keys to the Shop Consulting, simply email chris@keystotheshop.com, and we can set up a free exploratory call where we can talk about what's going on with your business and how Keys to the Shop Consulting might be able to help you. Again, that email for Keys to the Shop Consulting, chris@keystotheshop.com. Now, today's episode of Keys to the Shop is brought to you by the Ground Control Cyclops Brewer from Voga Coffee. Now, the Ground Control Cyclops Brewer is absolutely changing the game for what you can expect from batch brew coffee on a global scale. There's not a lot of stuff that comes out in the coffee world that truly revolutionizes what we can expect from coffee. I think the Ground Control is one of those technologies. The SCA award-winning technology, in fact, allows you to extract flavors that you might not have even thought possible from your coffees. It really will blow you and your customers away. It's like getting to know your coffee for the first time. The Ground Control Cyclops Brewer is very versatile in that it can make tea, batched iced lattes, batched cold brew. So this is a workhorse. It's versatile. It's a level up in quality, and it's definitely something that I think you should look into getting at your shop. To learn more, go to groundcontrol.coffee. They are simply amazing people helping us reach new heights in coffee quality. Again, the website to learn more about the Ground Control Cyclops Brewer, groundcontrol.coffee. Today's episode of Keys to the Shop is also brought to you by the Pacific Barista Series, which is the leader in plant-based performance beverages, because every one of the beverages in their extensive lineup is created for and tested by some of the world's best baristas. So when it gets on your counter, when you serve it to your customers, you can be confident knowing that it'll stand up to the heat from steaming, produce amazing silky texture, and keep the balance of the beverage focused on the star of the drink. That's the coffee. And you can find out more information by going to pacificfoodservice.com to get this in your store and try it for yourself. The intentionality, the love that they put into each of these beverages shows in the product. You and your customers are really going to love this. So if you're looking for the best plant-based beverages to serve your guests, it has to be the Barista Series from Pacific. Okay, everyone. Well, today's a big day. We get to talk with the World Barista Champion from Colombia, Diego Campos. Diego has been in the coffee industry for 13 years. He is a 3-time Colombian Barista Champion and, of course, now World Barista Champion. Throughout his career, he has been a roaster, barista, and also a coffee farmer over at Diamante Coffee Farm. His amazing winning routine was born from his journey in coffee, growing as a person and as a professional, connecting with the people that he's serving. His focus is on giving to others, representing his home country of Colombia and the coffee farmers to the utmost in what he's doing, working to create more drinkers of specialty coffee in Colombia and encourage professionals everywhere to grow and pursue customer service as the key to success, not only of their success, but to coffee's success. In this conversation, we talk all about how he started his journey in coffee, beginning to work at Amor Perfecto. If you remember, we had the founder of Amor Perfecto in Colombia, Luis Fernando, on the show. If you haven't listened to that episode, be sure to check the links in the show notes where you can go and listen to the story of Amor Perfecto. This is where Diego got his start, and we talk about this and how he grew from a roaster to a competitor to a more well-rounded barista, and all of the points in between, the lessons that he learned in that journey, and how it factored into his philosophy on what he does in coffee today, who he does it for, and what his dream is for how he is going to influence the industry, especially now with this platform of World Barista Championship. And so I'm really glad to have gotten to connect with Diego as he is actually on his coffee farm in this interview. And hear his story is so encouraging as we get to really hear Diego's heart for coffee and the community. So I hope that you enjoy this. Let's get right to it. Here now is my interview with the World Barista Champion, Diego Campos. Well, Diego, welcome to Keys to the Shop. Such an honor to have you on. How are you doing today?
I'm being good. Thanks for your invitation. Thank you very much.
Things are pretty crazy around there for you. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you very much. Everything for me is pretty new and so many things to do, but I'm really enjoy that. I wish to have time for so many things more, but I'm just getting used to do so many things at the same time.
What an accomplishment in your story is so amazing. So I'm looking forward to diving into this your story, and I wanted to kind of start from where you started, where you got into coffee, or I would say, how do you got your start in professional coffee, particularly? How did this journey kind of start for you?
I was really lucky to start in the specialty coffee with a company that was in the specialty coffee already. So that was kind of a really good start for me. I started in 2008 when I was 18 years old. I started as a roaster with Amor Perfecto Cafe, which is a roastery based in Bogota. They work with specialty coffee since 1997, I think. So this is a company that has been in the market for 24 years already. I started as a roaster. I got a job as a regular job. I just wanted to do something with my life, and I was planning to go to the university that I once does, but at the beginning, it wasn't that serious for me. I just got the job. One of my sisters told me to move to Bogota to work with coffee. I'm from another department called Tolima, a small town called Espinal. And I was 18 years old. I was there with my mom doing some regular jobs. But one of my sisters that used to work for Amor Perfecto as an accountant, she asked me to move to Bogota and start to do something more serious. And she started to tell me about coffee and all the things that happens at that moment with coffee. Yeah, I said, yes, I will take the job. And she said me, you have to use a machine. You have to roast the coffee from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. You have to let the coffee inside the machine for 15 minutes. Then you put it out. Then you grind the coffee or pack the coffee if there's beans. Or that's all the things you have to do. And I said, okay, I will take the job. That was my beginning as someone that operated the machine. Since that moment, I started to learn more about coffee and realize what coffee is in real life.
Well, as a roaster, you got to know the coffees pretty well, I imagine, but then you didn't stay on the roasting path necessarily, although you probably got a lot better as you did it, but you started to veer over to the barista work. Why did the barista work attract you? Why did it become the path that you took?
I mean, it's been interesting for me to work in coffee because as a roaster, I understand how important is the job of the roaster and how many things you can do by roasting the coffee. If you want to be a barista, if you're a roaster, it makes it easier to extract the coffee or how to brew the coffee. For me, it was easy because I started like roasting the coffee, but I get into the specialty coffee when I started to cup the coffee. Luis Fernando, which is my boss, asked me to cup every day, and he'd say like, if you want to understand what are you doing in the roaster, you have to start cupping, and it will help you understand what coffee is and what are the flavors in the coffee, and you will have a better idea what are you doing. So and then I started doing so many things with coffee, and I said, okay, let's try something different and see how it is like being a barista and doing espressos, cappuccino, that kind of things, which is like kind of, I mean, it was like kind of different for me being a roaster and being a barista, but at the end of the day, it's a complement of each other.
So the barista work was pretty different for you, but the complementing of the roasting, of course, like you work so hard to help the coffee realize its potential in the roasting. And then as a barista, you get to express it to customers. You get to taste what it's, capable of in lots of different formats. Did it open up the world of coffee even more to you?
I mean, it gave me a better idea of what I was doing at that moment. And it was more interesting to brew in a coffee that was roasted for me. It helps me to understand so many things. That's why I started to compete and get more involved in coffee year after year. I'm competing since 2009. I roast coffee until 2014. And then I started to work as a barista because I was a roaster more than a barista until 2014. Because from 2008 to 2014, I was like working as a roaster, doing all the job in the roastery, and the barista thing was like something I did on my free time. I was more focused on my job as a roaster, and then I was like competing in barista competitions, but I was more like something different. My main job was at the roastery because my boss said like, if you wanna compete, you have to do your job. Then you have to use your free time to train for competition if you want to do it. So that's what I did from 2008 to 2014, like working as a roaster, and on my free time I practice for like barista competitions. And I didn't went to the cafes or the coffee shop to work as a barista on those years. I was like competition barista because the only things I did as a barista was like training for competitions, and during the competition I didn't work in a cafe on those years. So on 2014 I went to UK to study English. Being in there, I work as a barista in a cafe, and then when I come back here I started to work in Amor Perfecto coffee shops.
Well, that's really interesting that you're making the distinction between the competition barista. What changed? I mean, I want to get into your competitions a little bit here, but before we do that, I'm interested in how you experienced the difference between competition and then working as a workaday barista in the UK and then back at home at Amor Perfecto.
If you want to compete on barista competitions, I think you need to be a barista in a coffee bar because you need to get in touch with the consumers. You need to get used to the things you do at the bar. And there's so many things you learn from the customers, from the service at the bar, that you complement the things you do when you train for this kind of competitions. Because if you are in like a barista competition, you just train like the technical part, the sensory skills, but you need to get involved of how to manage the situations with the consumers, with the customers, and all the things you have to deal with in a cafe every day. And I think it happens to me from 2008 to 2014 because I was like working every day as in the roastery, and then I just trained for the competition a couple of hours a day. But I never did a barista job in a cafe. I did not have that experience. I compete 2008, 9, 11, 13, and 14 without having that experience. And I think that was the main reason I could not won the competition on those years, because I won the competition after I came back from the UK.
You learned a lot of lessons in just hospitality and pressure that maybe you didn't experience when you were working alone in a lab.
Exactly, yeah. Yeah, you get that experience, how to express yourself in front of the consumers, how to do a better customer service, which is really important when you are in these kind of competitions.
Let's go back a little bit and ask, why did you start pursuing competitions to begin with? What was in it for you that really motivated you to do it? And I guess in that question, there must be some beliefs and values that you carry that really drove you all of those years to pursue this.
The idea to have a profession or to have something that says that I was good on something, I found the barista competition can make me professional on doing something. Because before I went to the university for a couple of months, but I have to work and study at the same time, so I did not have time. So I quit from the university and started to work just with coffee. And Luis Fernando told me to just leave the university and just focus on coffee. And he said, I will make you a professional with coffee. And I found in the barista profession something that makes me do the things I like to do, and find something that makes me feel I was doing something good for me and something that makes my mom proud of me. That's what I choose being a barista.
Was it pretty risky when you first talked to Luis and he said, yeah, I want to make you a barista professional, coffee professional, and you left university to pursue that? In that moment, did it feel like you were taking a big chance, or did you know that this was actually the right path for you at the moment?
No. It was something really risky for me. I wasn't sure about that, but I just wanted to try. At that moment, there were so many good baristas in Amor Perfecto competing in nationals, traveling around the world, and that was kind of the things that my sister wanted to happen to me one day. She said, just look at those guys, all the things they're doing, just with being a barista. So get hard to get where they are now. And that was kind of weird for me, but
It seems like you kind of knew, because so many people were around you telling you this is something you should do, and these are people that you must have trusted, obviously, your sister, and then Luis has been doing this for so long, and you see the fruit of the work at Amor Perfecto. The community around you in coffee has undoubtedly had an impact on how you chose to pursue this and how serious you are about it.
At the beginning, it was I say, I need to do this well because my sister is behind this, and she trusts me, and I have to do it well because I want her to feel proud about me. But then after that, I started to realize that I need to work hard to get title of being the Colombian barista, and I understand that to do that, I have to get a discipline and be consistent on what I wanted to do. I chose being barista because it taught me how to deal with so many things on my life. I was pretty young on that moment without having a big guide on what to do with my life. But I think coffee was a thing that showed me what to do with my life. It's kind of having a coffee road that the coffee said to me, just follow me. That's the things you have to do with your life. Everything has been happened to me in a very smooth way. That coffee just go there, just come here, just go there, just do this, don't do this. Coffee has put me in different countries, different places, different people, and all of those experience have been a complement of the things I wanted to do.
So this coffee has afforded you lots of opportunities, and of course you've excelled in this. And as you did these competitions, no doubt it started to really. You must have had some challenges. You mentioned the challenge of not being able, to get past a certain point because of this lack of experience of working on the bar. What were some of the things that you really needed to work on in order to become great in the competition and maybe just a really good professional?
Since I started, I understand that it was a discipline. Like being a barista is a discipline that you have to do a lot of things more than just making a cup of coffee. So you need to be like a responsible, you need to be a compromised person that need to spend a lot of time of practicing, but also you have to have like customer service for people. At the beginning, I have to say, I was a barista that was really focused on a technical part, doing everything very technical, the movements, the way you brew the coffee. I mean, because everything was pretty new for me, because I started in 2008 and I was competing in 2009. So it was really everything was new for me. So on my first competition, I was a really technical barista that didn't have much experience on like sensory skills. So I was just starting to get used to drink coffee, and I was competing in that kind of competitions without understanding that much that it was a sensory competition. Like with the competition, I get that you need to be a good barista and you also need to be a good person. If you need to be a good person and you need to be a good professional.
What does that mean to you?
I mean, being a good person for me is to more than because sometimes people say like to be someone on the life you need to have a profession, like just go to the university and study and get a certificate and say you are a professional. But there is some kind of people that doesn't care about like people around them. And if you are in the coffee industry, especially in the coffee industry, you need to share your knowledge more than just go to the competition to show that you're the best. You need to show the people you're the best because you help the people around you. You share your knowledge with your customers.
I take it that you are doing this in your life yourself. As you went on in competition, you were practicing those things, sharing with others, helping them, not just keeping the knowledge to yourself.
Yeah, I mean, that's the things that coffee have taught to me. Because at the end of the day, the competition is just a complement or a thing that helps the coffee to show the rest of the world how many things you can do with coffee. I mean, because there is more people outside of the competitions that depends on the coffee. That's why, I mean, I love competing and I'm really happy of being the champion. But I think which most important for me is to get more people involved in coffee and try to get more people talking about specialty coffee around the world. No more like telling them the history about me competing or me winning the competition. It's more like try to tell them how it can help the industry here in Colombia and around the world, to show the world how many things we can do with coffee and how we can help the producers, the pickers, and all the people that depends on coffee.
And so as you're doing that, this is now one of the main opportunities to get people into that. The same way as your sister got you into coffee, it sounds like you want to do the same for others. And I'm curious about what you said, like showing them all the things you can do in coffee. And especially, it seems, at origin, there is a lot of opportunity around the world because so many people are starting to roast at origin, and their economy is growing as a result of roasting their coffee, serving it to locals, and keeping it there so everyone can enjoy not just what's not exported, but what's right there. And that's something that really drives you and something that you talk about. I wonder if you could talk about that a little bit in terms of how you hope to kind of encourage people that direction.
I mean, in Colombia, it's a big homework we have to do because unfortunately we are not good on consuming coffee. We have really good coffees, but people here think that the specialty coffee is for certain amount of people, and that's we're trying to do here in Colombia with Amor Perfecto is try to say everyone that drinking a really nice cup of coffee is a pleasure that everyone can have. Just telling customers that you don't need to be a professional barista or you don't need to have a career in coffee. You just need to know how to brew a really nice cup of coffee at home, which is how everyone's drink coffee at home. I mean, they just have a couple of cup of coffees in the cafe, but most of the time, everyone drinks coffee at home. So we want to get them to understand how to brew a coffee at home, how to share the knowledge with the rest of the family, and that kind of things.
Do you think that changing the culture of how people think about drinking coffee in Colombia is or could be helped by having more people do what you did and work in coffee? Because, you know, your family, they're more likely to be into coffee maybe because you are and your friends. And so you influence those closest to you. If everyone had a relative that was in barista competitions or a roastery or working as a barista, it seems like maybe the trend would start to get going where more people would be interested in drinking specialty coffee because they knew somebody that worked in specialty coffee.
It's been hard for me because my family wasn't in specialty coffee. I think they don't need to be part of the industry. They just need to understand that if they drink a good cup of coffee, they supporting so many people that depends of coffee. I mean, there's more chance to the roasters like Amor Perfecto is doing, trying to show the world that roasting at origin makes more opportunities for the people in Colombia. I mean, so we can have more people working with coffee, like producing the coffee here. So there's more chance for the country to develop it and get more money for us instead of just sending the coffee in green beans to another country. So they just pay for the green beans and all the job is doing in another country. So we just need to, the people in Colombia understand that they need to start drinking quality, a nice quality coffee than just drinking a commercial one. So a good example that I say to everyone here in Colombia that is that when you want to drink a nice alcohol or nice drink based on alcohol, doesn't matter how much it costs, you pay for it. Let's say a whiskey, because we don't drink much whiskey or wine here in Colombia, but when we want to drink something different about beer or another drinks we have, we say, okay, I will drink a whiskey because I deserve it. I work for it. And I say, why we don't do this for coffee? It's the same thing. It's a product that we produce here in Colombia. Have to be even more special than drinking a whiskey, which is not produced here.
I like that you brought it there because it's personal. It's a point of investing in yourself. And by doing that, you also invest in others if you choose a good product. It's something that helps support your local economy and the growers and roasters and everyone working in coffee in Colombia. And taking it back to how you grew as a competitor from the technical side of things, which is how we like to try to get people to drink coffee. We say, well, it's technically better than bad coffee. But then you started to focus on the sensory and, being a good person and presenting with hospitality. In that kind of presentation, the kind of presentation that you gave on the world stage is the kind of thing people see that would maybe more convince them to drink that coffee than just a technically perfect routine.
Here in Colombia, we try to be as simple as we can with the consumers. Because sometimes when a consumer will go to the cafe, they want to have a nice experience with coffee. But the barista started to speak in a different language, like a really technical language that consumer doesn't understand. What is a big 60 or a chemist or a siphon? And we wanted to show them everything at the same time, but we don't understand as a barista that the consumer just want to have a nice cup of coffee. So we need to encourage the consumers or our customers to understand first what coffee is, how to enjoy a nice cup of coffee, and then we can start like talking about technology or that kind of like technical things we use in a cafe. But if you started to talk about like those kind of fancy things to the consumers, which everything is new for them with coffee, they say maybe they will find it a bit difficult or complex, and it will be different if you understand from zero and explain them in a very slow way how to start with specialty coffee, and by the time you can introduce the things that are important, but not as important that understand the meaning of specialty coffee is.
The meaning behind it. I love that. Yeah. And people who are not taken along slowly by the barista or professionals, they might drink it and they might maybe even like it, but if they're not convinced in their heart that they love it, they probably won't keep buying it.
Exactly. Sometimes you find customers that don't want to speak to the barista. They just want to drink a cup of coffee, like the regular cup of coffee they have every day. And sometimes the barista start to talk. That's the job of the barista, but we also need to understand that the customers are not open to hear you every day. So we just need to find a good moment, the right moment to talk to the customer. A part of that, just bring them a good service. That's it. And then if they are interested on knowing something more, they will ask.
Exactly. That is it. And we are at their service to do so. And I think, in your presentation, it really comes out like your heart for the customer, in that case, the judges, but you can clearly tell that your customer service is there, your hospitality is there. And that heart really brings people in. And that's what coffee is all about. And I wondered, as we wrap up here, how you would advise others. So many professionals in coffee listening to this interview have seen you compete, or they want to get better as professionals, and maybe they want to do well in competition. As you talk to somebody like that who just wants to grow in coffee, what would your advice to them be?
If you're a barista, you know how to brew an espresso, you know how to do a milk base, and you know how to create a signature drink. A part of that, you need to understand how to bring or how to offer a nice customer service. Because if you see all the baristas in the competition, they know how to manage the situation. They know how to brew a espresso. They know how to work with the espresso machine and the grinder. Everyone's, if you're a barista, you that's the things you have to know. But a part of that, you need to like be more human. That's what I say. Like, don't forget about the human thing that is like making the people that is going to drink the coffee. That is part of the things. It's not just like start talking to them like if you. I mean, it's a mistake that the baristas sometimes do. Like they feel like they are the rock star and they are the main thing in coffee, but it's not like that. I mean, the main thing is the coffee, and we are just a person that is between the producer and the coffee and the consumer. So we just need to do our job. Serving a good coffee is more like 60% of this, but there is a 40% that depends of the on the personality of the person that is making the coffee and how professional you can be, not just serving coffee. So there is so many aspects that you need to count with at the moment that you want to serve a cup of coffee.
You have to be open to not just becoming good technically, you have to be good as a person, like you said. You grow that 40%, even though it's, maybe it's not technically like you can't be like, oh, it's absolutely 60% or 40%, but that part is so critical.
Yes, weird. Sometimes I mean, that's why we base on the world competition routines. We did more like customer service, and then we wanted to create a space to the judges where they felt comfortable and they forgot they were in a coffee competition. They felt like they were listening to a friend. That's what we wanted to do. So they were really happy. They were really keen on what I was doing for them because we create a space for judges and we create an experience, and I complement it with how open I was to serve them. Sometimes if you go to a nice restaurant that is really known, but it doesn't depend how nice is the restaurant or how good is the food. It depends of the type of music they put on, the type of service they offer, how clean is the space, how organized. I mean, it depends of the colors they use in the environment. I mean, it depends of everything you do. It's not just about the place or it's not just about the food. It's a complement of so many things that you need to think about. And I think it's the same with coffee.
100%. And I mean, you set the stage so well in your competition, and I think the things that you've talked to us about today in this interview is definitely setting us up to kind of pursue the same thing. And I love that that's your philosophy and what you're pursuing with this opportunity, with this accomplishment. So it was really an honor to have you on the show. And I love your heart in coffee, and I hope more people follow after your footsteps. What are your plans right now, and how can we stay in touch with you?
For now, I have the homework to start sharing this with the Colombians, make them understand what a barista is, to show them there is a professional behind the coffee, and there's so many things you can do with coffee. And also, we have a coffee project with my father and my mother-in-law and my wife. We have a coffee farm called Diamante Coffee Farm. It's a project located in Huila department and in the La Plata municipality. It's a place that we wanted to live with, to live from. We just wanted to dedicate ourselves to produce coffee, but also to show the new generation of producers or the producers now that there's so many small changes they can do to produce a better quality of coffee, and there's so many things they can do with their with their business, because having a coffee farm is a business. You need to care about so many things, and yeah, it's like being an example for small farmers that are like selling the coffee to the market because they haven't understand how to process a really high quality coffee, and how much more money they can get from a specialty coffee than selling the coffee to the market. It's more like being an inspiration for more people. Yeah, working as a barista with Amor Perfecto, and also working with our coffee project, which is the farm. I have my Instagram, which is Diego Campos downline 27. That's where they can find me, or Diamante Coffee Farm downline DCR, the Instagram for my coffee project, or my personal Instagram.
Diego, it's been wonderful to talk with you. Congratulations again. Really great having you on the show.
No, thank you. Thanks to everyone who is listening to us.
Well, I hope that you enjoyed that episode, and I hope you enjoyed hearing about Diego's story and also his philosophy on being a coffee professional and what our job is as professional baristas, or just being in the industry as professionals. Diego is obviously somebody who is walking the talk. As he talks about giving to others and serving others, he is a great example for all of us, and I'm so glad again to have had an opportunity to talk with him here at Keys to the Shop. So a big thank you to Diego for being our guest, especially amidst the obviously busy schedule of a World Barista Champion, family man, farm owner, etc. So we really appreciate you, Diego. So if you want to stay in touch with Diego and all he's up to, then you can just follow him on Instagram over at Diego Campos _27. And you can also follow their coffee farm over at diamantecoffeefarm.crf. Now, if you have any questions, comments, or feedback about this episode or any other episode of Keys to the Shop, feel free to reach out to me. Chris@keystotheshop.com is how you can do that. Also, if you're interested in Keys to the Shop consulting and working with me to help you level up your coffee business or get your coffee business started off on the right foot, simply reach out to Chris@keystotheshop.com. Now, one of the ways that you can get started on the right foot, one of the ways that you can level up, is by going to an event where a lot of resources are to help you do just that. And that kind of an event is out there. You know what it's called? It's called Coffee Fest. Coffee Fest is happening 2022 in New York, Chicago, Los Angeles, and then in Seattle. 30 years in 2022. It's going to be 30 years of Coffee Fest, offering what I think is the best resource event for coffee retail professionals. Absolutely. I've been involved since 2004, go to all these shows, do presentations, lectures, and I'm just one of many offering really key resources to help you thrive as a coffee professional. Go to coffeefest.com to learn more about these upcoming shows. Again, if you're looking for resources, insights, and tools to thrive as a retailer in coffee, then Coffee Fest is the place to go. Again, go find out more information over at coffeefest.com. And with that, that is the end of our show today, everyone. Thanks so much for tuning in to this interview with World Barista Champion Diego Campos. Hope that it was a great one for you. And as always, I hope that this episode has truly given you keys to the shop.